Hello, everybody, and welcome to another collaboration between myself, Gary, from Alternative Interactions, and
Isabella from Tarot by Isabella.
so today is an interesting show that came about via a conversation with myself and Isabella. So, Isabella, would you like to explain to everybody what the conversation was, and then I'll get on to putting a bit more meat on the bone.
Mhm. Well, Gary and we talked about something Gary found in a Telegram feed, and it was about a coup d'etat in China. And I said, "What? Coup in China? Military coup?" But I have not heard anything on the news or seen anything in on YouTube anywhere about this. How is it possible that the media have been so quiet about it? And then we begin to talk more about it and look up some information. And really, it seems that there is something really big going on there in China. And I don't know, Gary, you have some more detailed info you could explain about what you found when you started to dig around
Yes,
this coup d'etat in China.
yes, Isabella, thank you. Um, it came about by just one little headline that I'd seen on Telegram, and then there was another little thing that came up on Telegram regarding something else that linked it in, and my spidey senses went, and I thought this is strange. So I started doing some digging. Now, some of this stuff was not too hard to find, but one of the bits of information I'm going to give you was very difficult to find, which kind of makes sense to me, as in, ooh, there's something in this. So Isabella and I haven't looked into this in any way at all. We're looking at it at the first time, but the information is what I first got was Xi, as in the Chinese um, guy in charge of China. Um, is he a president or is he? I
I
can't
don't
think
know.
really.
Let's call him a leader
Yeah,
of
the
China.
leader of China, Xi, removes two top senior generals in the army. And I thought, well, that's quite interesting. But I did a little bit more digging. And what I found was a report in the Spectator. And Isabella and I will have links down in our description for some of this. But also, we will have links of all the information below when we post our videos on our Telegram channels. So please go to my Telegram channel, the same name, Alternative Interactions, and please go to Isabella's Tarot by Isabella Telegram channel, where we have all the information that you'll need, which will be posted underneath the video when we do so. So it's easier for everyone to find. But the reports were that hundreds of troops um, in China were sent to the Chinese government area, which is in Western Beijing. And I'm going to butcher this, I do apologize. It's called Yingzi Hotel. And these troops going to this area were clearly sent by, it appears, the generals, and they were being sent to overthrow Xi, the leader of China. Xi was tipped off and managed to amass enough troops to protect himself, and there was a gun battle where 9 guards were killed. Now, this was on the 18th of January. Now, I've been noting and keeping an eye on China, and there appears to be tensions between the controlling factions for some time. And one of those tensions or the factions that showed, I think it was a year ago or so, my memory, sometimes little bits of information stick, and this stuck. And there's a gentleman called Hugh Junto, and I butchered that name as well, But if you can remember, there was a Communist Party um, conference, and this old gentleman was led away during the conference. Now, Hu Junto is a very interesting person. Um, he was um, the the general secretary of the CCP for a while. He was also president of China, and he was also chair of the Military Commission of China. And I think he stopped being that in 2012. Now, the reason why this comes up is his connection to the military is the fact that he died or passed away on January the 24th. But the rumor is that he was executed by Xi. Hmm. So we have
Revolutions.
so we have top military generals being removed, and we have an ex-leader of the CCP potentially being executed some days later. Now, this is a very, very interesting story because it has ramifications that we will go on to in a little while, more so potentially. But I think this links into the deep state or bad actors versus the good actors. As in, I think this is a power struggle we're seeing. And although we always go back to money and we have to, because we always have to follow the money, don't we, Isabella?
Yeah. To find out what or who is behind what.
80% of all the minerals in the world are processed and refined in China. 80%. And Xi just recently said that he wants China to, the yuan, to become the reserve currency of the world. Now, this is huge. And I wonder if he's only just made that announcement because potentially the bad actors have been removed. Now, communism was started by the Zionists, who are the Bolsheviks. And I'm wondering if we're seeing the end of the Zionist control mechanism on China. Now, that's huge, huge. We've seen this in Russia already. Isabella and I have been talking about this as
Mm.
well today, that Putin has removed the Rothschilds and the Rothschilds banking control mechanisms from Russia, and has also just made Satanism illegal in Russia. Now, I think this is all connected, but I don't know how really. And so I would love to ask you, Isabella, if you
Yeah,
could look in your amazing crystal ball and say and tell us what you see, please.
yeah. Well, I'm gonna concentrate first on what you just have been talking about, to see if the crystal ball have something to add to it, or yeah, if there is anything more that has not been shown. And what's also very important is that the mainstream media hardly said anything about this big event in China. And always when mainstream media makes a little or almost none information about something big, it means that it's very, very important and that they want to press down or not make people to wonder or, yeah, look for more information around that area. So they will not be too enlightened in certain aspects. Mm. But anyway, I'm gonna look first in the crystal ball, and after that, Gary gonna ask some questions, and we're gonna take the questions separately with cards to answer them with cards. Yep. So now I just need a few seconds to concentrate, and we'll soon see if the crystal will have something to say. For the coup d'etat in China that happened recently. Okay. The first thing, it's symbolical. And you know the red square in the imperial big palace? And here I see a lot of soldiers running through the corridors or through maze in the imperial palace, looking for traitors. And they're finding one that's hiding in a basket, one that's hiding under a bed, one that's hiding in a closet, symbolical. So they are at the moment, the imperial palace represents the highest leadership, is looking for traitors that are trying to hide within the imperial palace, meaning within the power structure that exists today. Because today nobody is ruling from the imperial palace, but it's a symbol of leadership. And we're gonna hear a lot of bird singing, a lot of birds singing, because they're gonna snitch on each other. No, 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 no. It was him who made me do that. Oh, no, I got the money from that person or that organization or whatever. And the leader of China, Xi Jinping, I cannot never pronounce his name. He's gonna, be quite angry because I see him with a very angry face, even if he never really shows his anger. He has a very neutral face. Okay, I have a cat that wants to come here. Come. No, he's over there. He cannot decide if he wants to come to the table. No, here he comes. Anyway, normally he has a very neutral face. But this time you will see his eyes like sparkling with anger. Mm. And he will demand justice. He will demand why he or her on, and I see the EU flag here because somehow EU has something to do with it.
Mm.
So he will point out. And if this will not be solved, he will also put on sanctions or do some kind of economical, you can call it blackmail, on many countries if they don't hand over the guilty ones. I'm not saying this will happen today, tomorrow. It's a process. They are still chasing the traders. And before all the traders have told what they know, and some traders could take a little bit longer to make them talk, others not. Um, and when they have put all the information together and, hardcore evidence, then he will go into action. And that could happen, could be end of March, April, something like that. Mm. Um, Yeah. Sorry, I see him shaking a big bag with gold. And he's saying, "You want this? You're not gonna get this." You can eat stones, you can eat mud. That's what you deserve, but you're not gonna have this. This is ours. Mm.
That makes a lot of sense with the financial side of things, doesn't it?
Yeah. Everyone, it says that all the big politicians, in the Western world, they want to demonize, make him smaller, the leader of China. Like, oh, it's just China, it's just cheap crap. Not everything is cheap crap from China. They have, the whole world is dependent on China. Everything they do. Those glasses are made in China. The cards are printed in China. The mouse is from China. Everything this is from China. Everything, almost everything we have around us in our modern world have been made in China, or some components, important components of that whatever thing, is made in China. So they have much bigger power than we ever can realize, even if, no, no, France is better, Sweden is better, UK is the best. Mm-mm. They don't do anything in those countries anymore. Yeah. So yes, it will have effects on the rest of the world, what happened there. And they got too careless, or the traders, if you call them traders, they were so full of themselves, they thought they were invincible, that nothing could touch them. And that was their mistake, because they thought they could bribe everyone. But there are some people that are not bribable, and that passed further the information to the higher leaders of China. Mhm. And China has many secrets also regarding our history, and a lot of secrets, um, that are still suppressed, but it will come out. And many big archaeological sites with extremely interesting findings. But everything is hushed down at the moment. And it says the treatment, mm, was not pushed by the good side in China. It was pushed by those that wanted China to crumble, that wanted China to disappear in their power. Yeah, but sorry, but I also see that some batches of that treatment was exchanged secretly in China, so a lot of people did not receive the poison, and that is how still there's they didn't get rid of so many Chinese as they wanted from the beginning. Sorry, but that's
No, it's
maybe it's
good.
not,
Yeah.
but that is also involved in that coup, regarding the treatment. Mm. And this will also somehow be highlighted and will come up in the official news flow. But the leader of China, he's like still waiting. He has a lot of patience. He's still waiting, gathering information, and at the right moment, just like the Epstein files, it will all come bang out for everyone to see once. Yeah. Yeah, well, that was a little bit what I could see in the crystal ball
Superb.
regarding this. Mm?
Yeah, superb. The thing you said just then about Xi being patient
Mm.
and the Epstein files, I got a little the cat's out of the bag.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, regarding cats out of the bag, you remember the last video from prediction for February? The last card reading, the three last cards, they were a whip that is
Very
coming out
interesting.
this month. A whip. Let's see if I can find it. Oh,
I do
there it is.
apologize. I've got somebody at the door. I do apologize. I'll be sat back in one
Yeah.
second.
Okay, okay.
I'm so sorry. The guy was banging on the door terribly. I do apologize for that. I was thinking everyone's going to hear that in a second, so I apologize to everybody
Yeah,
for
but
that.
that things happen. We are just humans, and anything can happen during a recording. Well, that was the card in the whips, and we're gonna see a lot of whips on the guilty's back. They're gonna begin to pay for their crimes.
That's very, very interesting. That card. I mean, as soon as I saw that card, and I got goosebumps everywhere. I was like, oh my, oh my.
Yeah.
That's really significant, and it shows that sometimes the cards, even though Isabella doesn't necessarily pick up on the meaning, the cards have relevance and hidden things that come out later that then really show what the meaning of that was. So
Mm.
that's awesome, awesome. So question wise, um, is what we're seeing a bad actors versus good actors event? As in, were the people trying to take G out the baddies, and is G a goodie? If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's really two questions.
Yes,
But let's begin with the first one. Was this a bad actor versus a good actor event? Like a power struggle?
yes, yeah. As in globally, not just internally in China. Just to
Mm.
make the audience very clear on that, we're talking about the global bad actors and the global good actors here.
Yeah, and the global bad actors were trying to take control 100% over China. Let's see what the cards have to say. And some dice. Mhm. Yeah, it really was. Here We begin with them oracle cards. Funnel, period of frustration, lessons to be learned. Then we have friendship, gates of triumph, success expands in your life. On the tarot cards, we have Queen of Swords, Seven of Wands, and Judgment. Then under here we have biting, feeling, and a dog. So yeah, they were biting. The evil actors were biting. They were trying to uh, create a period of frustration. And when there is a frustration, some kind of revolution, frustration, then everything goes into chaos. They wanted to make chaos. They wanted war. Seven of wands. They wanted the fight, the feeling, to create division between people. But it was not possible because we have friendship and we have the judgment and we have the dogs. So no, they were trying to bite. They were trying to create a warlike situation. But the good side that work for justice and judgment, good judgment, they kept together and could stop this attempt to start a war, because it was an attempt to start war, biting. They wanted to bite, really bite, but they could not.
That's very
Oops.
interesting, isn't it? Very
Yeah.
interesting. And I'm pleased that the initial card reading shows that my first thoughts fundamentally on what the importance of this was really is. So we've clearly got bad actors and good actors. Um,
And was not the next question if she is a good
G
actor?
is a good actor. Yeah, yeah. And actually, um, perhaps we could expand that slightly because I think Xi, Putin, and Trump are
Ah,
working together. And I think they have an alliance for the good, personally. Now, whether it's like the good for everybody or it's better than what we currently have, I don't know. But perhaps we could expand that. Is are Xi, Putin, and Trump the good actors in this story?
Xi, Putin, and Trump, good actors. Is there some alliance between them? One more. I got them. Xi, Putin, and Trump. Okay. Um, if there is an alliance, they are trying to keep it secret. Why? Here we have Eight of Wands, like they don't know each other. Everyone goes separate way. We have Seven of Swords. If there is an alliance, it's an alliance between countries overseas. And Five of Swords. If people knew that this was alliance, they will get very worried, because then there is no freedom. Then we are super controlled. Then we are already in the new world order. Da 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 da. Yeah. But here we have creating, magnifying glass, a man. But you're creating something together. And this is a man's club. And they are looking together at the details. So they're creating something together. And as I said, they have the masks on. This is a mask. Because everyone have to play their role. They are playing roles like a theater. And of course, it's about money and finances. We have a treasure chest with treasures. And here we have a car. So it's also about technical stuffs, electronics, and things like that. I'm gonna take one more card on this alliance between Putin, Trump, and Xi. It's a difficult alliance. They have to make a lot of sacrifice. So each part of them have to sacrifice something for this alliance. They have to be hanged upside down for a period of time. But the final outcome is the sun. And that is prosperity, good times. And they are working, I would say, for the light, if one can put it bluntly, for the good of humanity. And they are really doing a hard work. This Eight of Coins. And at the end, Eight of Coins is also a symbol of money, the financial system. So they are trying to come up with something that will be very beneficial in the financial system for everybody, not just for them or for the elites, for everybody. If we want to continue that. Mm. And they talk to each other very regularly. Page of Swords. It's like they have a lot of communication between each other. And here we have the Tower. Mm. They have to bring down a lot of things. And they are planning together how to bring down the old system to be able to create a new one. And a lot of it will be through the military.
Yeah.
So now, just to finish up what we begin to ask here, is this alliance good one, nice one, working for the humanity, not like the evil side, dumb elites as we call them.
The dumb elites.
Mm. Are they working for the good of humanity, for the light? This alliance, are they working for the good of humanity, for the light? Yeah. Here we have the Ermite. We have the devil. And we have the moon. I'm gonna take one card of each. It's like they want to shine light on the devil. You have the Ermite with his light, with his, what do you call it?
Lantern.
Lantern. Yeah. And he wants to shine lantern on the devil. They want through this alliance to shine who is the evil one. Mm. Yeah. And they want to bring balance. we have the temperance, wet and dry, light and darkness. And below the devil, we have the lies. They want to expose the devil's lies. And we have the chariot. So it seems like whatever they will expose is coming out quite soon. It will go in every direction. Boom, boom, boom. We're going to hear about it. When we go to bed at night, in the morning, it's full with news. This happened, this happened. And the magician, yeah, it will be felt like it's not normal. It's like some supernatural thing that is happening, everything at once. So I would say they work together, but also apart.
Yeah,
And each one have a difficult task to expose the devil, to expose the lies. And they're making a lot of sacrifice, every one of them.
that makes a lot of sense to me, understanding my limited understanding and feeling of the situation.
Mm.
And I felt this was a very, very important key period, almost like a point in time that was very important. And I think we covered this kind of information on our previous shows. I think you certainly have in you're looking at January. As Maten says from Plutonic Planes, we don't always see what's happening at the time. It's often in retrospect at the moment that we'll
Yeah.
see something. And I think this information here is something that's very, very important for us moving forward. And the fact it was swept under the carpet meant it was far more important than we realized. If I can give you an analogy, it's like somebody standing at the top of the mountain full of snow and they've got a little snowball in their hand. Well, destroying the coup was the snowball, and the snowball's now been dropped on top of the mountain and it's going to start rolling down. It's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And at the bottom of the mountain is the viper's nest.
Yeah.
And when the snowball hits the viper's nest, it's going to be devastating. And I don't know at what stage that ball or that snowball's going, but certainly that's how it felt to me with this information, and your cards have just proven that superbly, Isabella.
So I think it's much bigger. And I can understand if the cards or the crystal don't want to dig too deep because we are not allowed to know too much either. It could be not beneficial for us to know too much, and it could also damage whatever operation they are doing or planning to do. So sometimes we cannot get exact information of what is going on, and it's according to the cards, according to the crystal ball. Um, but the final result will be the sun, will be prosperity, light, and abundance for everyone. And that is where we are heading, really. There are, yeah, there are so many twists and turns in this, and one can go crazy for less.
They certainly can. But I do think it was important that we highlighted this as one of potentially the key points in time, because 2026, as you've seen and I've seen, is
Mm.
going to be a month of roller coaster rides,
Yeah, yeah,
ups and downs. And this is one of the important bits of the roller coaster ride that we might have missed. And so going forward now, I think we might in the future see something that happens and we'll go, oh, that now fits and makes sense to what we saw in from the 18th of January to the 24th, that period of January. And obviously they're still sorting it out, it's still ongoing, but it fits very much into what we've previously seen and the roller coaster ride for me.
Yeah. And just because we don't hear it on the news or read it in the newspaper doesn't mean it didn't happen. And when people say, oh, nothing happened, yeah, you don't know. Because a lot of things happen, rather, a lot of big, huge, important things happen that we are never informed of.
Yeah, yeah, without doubt. The media is not our friend.
No, not even the weather can be forecast.
Well, for me, I think I don't have any more questions. Do you have
Yeah.
any last words or any last thoughts on this at all? Has anything that you've seen provoked a question for you?
And the only thing is that we should keep an open mind and not judge too quickly. Things are not always as they look, as as the mask that came up. So many people are wearing masks. They play key roles in a far bigger, I would not say game, but far bigger planned um, war, you can call it, but a war on the evil ones, the parasites, the dumb elite, those that have been making humanity suffer for so many thousands of years.
Yeah, well said. Well said. So, with that, I have nothing else. So, I think we should thank everybody for watching us. And
Yeah. Yeah, and I also want to mention, please don't forget to like and subscribe to Gary's channel from Gary's Alternative Interaction, and mine, if you don't have already, is Tarot by Izabela. And it's very much appreciated, and it really helps us to grow and continue to producing videos for all of you.
beautifully said,
Yeah.
Isabella. Thank you very much, everybody. Love, light, and blessings, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Bye bye.